From a cargo spill that dumped 5 million Lego pieces into the ocean, to the employee-only minifigure business cards you'll never get your hands on, these are 10 more things Lego doesn't want you to know. The first detail isn't just hidden in Lego history, it's sitting at the bottom of the ocean. Back in 1997, a shipping container fell overboard off the coast of Cornwall, England. Inside were roughly 5 million Lego pieces, bound for toy stores around the world. But the ocean had other plans. Over the last 25 years, beachcombers and divers have been finding bits of that shipment scattered across coastlines. Tiny scuba tanks, flippers, even little dragon wings. But here's the twist. One part of that shipment went completely missing for almost 3 decades. We're talking about the Lego shark. See, records show that of the 5 million pieces in the spill, 51,800 were shark figures. That should have been enough to populate an entire ocean of plastic predators. Yet for years, no one could find a single one. Beachcombers turned up thousands of seagrass pieces, tiny spears, and miniature cutlasses, but not a single shark. It became a Lego urban legend. The sharks vanished without a trace. And then, in 2022, it finally happened. A fisherman named Richard West pulled one up in his net while working the Cornish waters. That single shark became the first confirmed survivor of the 1997 Lego spill. After nearly 30 years of silence, the shark's head finally surfaced. But why did it take so long? Unlike the light flippers and flowers that float easily, the shark mold is heavy, bulky, and hollow in strange places. Scientists think most of them sank straight to the seabed back in '97, buried under layers of sand and silt. So unless you're dragging a net through the right patch of ocean, you'll never see one. West's catch wasn't luck. It was a 1 in 51,800 chance. And that's what makes this detail so haunting. Out of millions of Lego pieces floating in the wild, the sharks turned into ghosts of the sea. Talked about in newspapers, studied by scientists, even tracked by Lego hobbyists, but rarely, if ever, seen in real life. The second hidden detail isn't buried under the ocean, it's hidden in people's wallets. Because for a short window of time, Lego employees had access to something so rare that even collectors with thousands of sets will never own one. I'm talking about Lego business cards, made entirely out of Lego. These weren't just novelty pieces, each employee got a personalized 2x4 Lego brick printed with their name, phone number, and email. But that wasn't the crazy part. On top of the card, there was a special custom minifigure designed to look exactly like them. Same hairstyle, same glasses, even the right torso print. The idea was simple. Instead of sliding someone a boring piece of paper, you'd hand them a literal Lego brick with your minifig attached. It was the ultimate flex, showing off the brand while also making sure no one ever forgot who you were. I mean, imagine going to a meeting and walking away with a pocket-sized Lego version of the person you just met. But here's what makes these business cards so legendary. They were never sold to the public. Ever. They were strictly an internal perk, which means today, if you find one of these floating around on eBay, you're looking at prices anywhere from $150 to $500 per card, and that's even if you can find one. Collectors call them the holy grail of Lego oddities, because unlike a Star Wars set or a rare minifig, these were made in ultra low numbers, tied to specific people. It's not like Lego printed thousands of extras. Once that employee left, their card stopped existing. In other words, it's the one-of-a-kind Lego you'll never be able to build yourself. The third small detail is one you might might have missed, even if you've been collecting LEGO your whole life, it's not a hidden print or a forgotten piece. It's about a cape. When LEGO first introduced fabric capes back in the early 1980s, most famously with the 1984 castle sets, and later the first LEGO Star Wars minifigures, they were made from a stiff, felt material. If you owned one of those early Darth Vader or Batman figs, you know the struggle. One wrong fold and the cape would crease forever, stored in a tight box, and you'd pull it out years later with wrinkles that looked like battle scars. And for decades, LEGO kept it that way, 41 years to be exact. Same stiff cloth, same fragile folding, until finally, in 2015, they changed everything. The new design swapped the old material for a softer, dual-layer fabric. Suddenly, the capes could drape naturally, bend around arms and legs, and even flow like real fabric. Collectors were blown away, not just because they looked better, but because they actually felt like miniature clothing. For LEGO, it was a quiet revolution. You didn't need instructions to notice the difference. Pick up a Jedi from the old line, then compare it with a new one, and it's night and day. And here's the kicker. LEGO didn't just stop at one version. They actually released multiple variants of the new cape fabric, some thin and silky, others thick and textured, designed to match the weight and look of different characters. Darth Vader got one style, Superman another. Even obscure minifigs got specialty cloth. It might seem small, just a cape, but for LEGO, it was a signal. After 4 decades of keeping things the same, they finally admitted the little details matter. But the fabric upgrade aren't the only secret LEGO has been hiding. Some mysteries are way bigger. Literally. Since 2007, giant LEGO minifigs have been washing up on beaches all over the world. And when I say giant, I mean 8 feet tall, weighing over 100 pounds, with the words "No real than you are" written across their chest. The first one appeared in Zandvoort, Netherlands, shocking locals who had no idea where it came from. A year later, another surfaced in Brighton, UK. Then again in Florida, then Japan. In total, only 6 of these massive minifigures have ever been found, scattered across coastlines like some bizarre treasure hunt. And here's where it gets even stranger. LEGO has never officially acknowledged them. They weren't sold in stores. They weren't part of a campaign. For years, fans speculated whether they were bootlegs, art projects, or secret marketing stunts. But the truth eventually came out. They were created by a Dutch artist named Ego Leonard, who used them as surreal public installations. Still, the fact that they appeared randomly on beaches across 4 different countries makes them feel less like art and more like an ARG. Some collectors even tried to buy them, with prices rumored to be in the tens of thousands of dollars if you could convince whoever fished one out to sell. So while LEGO's official capes were getting softer, the unofficial side of LEGO was getting a whole lot weirder. As bizarre as giant minifigures washing up on the beach sounds, some of the rarest LEGO secrets come straight from official releases, but only if you bought it at the exact right time. Take the case of Blue Milk Luke Skywalker. When LEGO released the Skywalker Saga video game in 2022, they dropped multiple editions, but only the deluxe edition came with an exclusive minifigure. On the surface, it looked like your typical Luke and Tatooine gear, but instead of a lightsaber, he was holding a little blue milk carton, a direct nod to that blink and you miss it scene in A New Hope, where Luke sits down with Aunt Beru and sips the weirdly colored drink. It was an inside joke that had been running in Star Wars circles for decades, and LEGO finally turned it into plastic. But here's where it gets wild. Blue Milk Luke was never sold separately. If you didn't pre-order or pick up that deluxe edition at launch, you missed your chance forever. Today, that single minifigure can sell for $150 to $300 on resale sites. All because LEGO leaned into a fandom joke and turned it into one of the most coveted Star Wars exclusives. And it shows you something important about LEGO's design philosophy. Sometimes the smallest joke, a glass of milk, becomes the rarest treasure. But little cartons of milk aren't the only Easter egg LEGO slipped in. If you really want to unlock their secrets, you have to learn a new language. In the Star Wars universe, that language is Aurebesh, the written alphabet that shows up on screens, walls, and posters across the galaxy. And LEGO designers love sneaking it into sets. Take the UCS Mos Eisley Cantina. At first glance, it looks like just another stickered tile behind the bar, but translate the Aurebesh and it doesn't say menu or specials, it says wanted, with none other than R2-D2 and C-3PO listed as fugitives. Which makes perfect sense, considering how they fled the cantina with the Empire on their tail. The Ewok village has another Aurebesh secret, though this one is darker. Among the tree carvings is a word circled with a heart that translates to Leia, a cheeky little nod that Han left his mark, even if he'd never admit it out loud. But right next to that carving, tally marks scratched around a scout trooper helmet. And no, those aren't just decoration. They're kill counts. LEGO never says it outright, but it's a chilling nod to what the Ewoks actually did to the stormtroopers they captured. That's the brilliance of Aurebesh and LEGO. Most people glance at it and move on, but for the fans who translate, it opens up an entire new layer of storytelling. And honestly, that's the part I love the most about LEGO Star Wars. The fact that it rewards you if you're the type to look closer. Like, I remember the first time I actually bothered to translate one of those Aurebesh stickers. I thought it was just random squiggles until I realized it spelled out wanted, with R2 and 3PO right there on the tile. Suddenly, the whole set felt different, like the designers were leaving notes just for the diehards. And it doesn't stop at language. Sometimes it's these hidden micro builds that are easy to miss unless you take a set apart. The best example? The Star Wars logo set. From the outside, it's just this bold block of letters. Nothing too wild, but if you pry off the top of the S and the T, there's a tiny recreation of the opening chase from A New Hope. The Tantive 4 being hunted down by a Star Destroyer. It's literally one of the most iconic shots in Star Wars history, tucked away inside 2 letters. That same design trick shows up again in the Death Star 2 mini build. Pop open the right panel and you'll see 4 studs arranged in a way that perfectly mirrors Luke and Vader's duel in the Emperor's throne room. Just 4 studs. That's it. And yet the second you notice it, your brain fills in the whole scene. It's like holding the climax of Return of the Jedi in the palm of your hand. And I don't know about you, but that's what keeps me hooked. The idea that even the tiniest piece can carry an entire story. The crazy part is, once you realize how far LEGO designers are willing to go, you start spotting details everywhere. Take the UCS AT-AT for example. On the surface, it's just this towering war machine from Hoth, right? But tucked inside, there's a tiny sticker showing the Rebel shield generators, the very target those walkers were sent to destroy in Empire Strikes Back. It's such a small thing, just a little graphic hidden on the control panel, but it instantly connects the set back to the battle. And then, right when you think you've caught one Easter egg, you pull off a back panel and suddenly you're staring at octane barrels. Yeah, Octan, the fictional fuel company from Lego City. It has nothing to do with Star Wars, but it's sitting there like a secret crossover between galaxies. To me, that's Lego at its most playful. On one side, you've got this serious military machine tearing through Hoth, and on the other, tucked inside its guts, you've got a wink to Lego's own history. It makes you wonder how many of these are hiding in plain sight. Details you'd only ever notice if you built the set yourself. But not every Lego mystery is playful. Some are downright chilling. Back in 1991, a woman named Lucille Johnson was found murdered inside her home in Salt Lake City, Utah. The case went cold for over 20 years. No suspects, no solid leads. But there was one overlooked detail that would end up solving it decades later. Lego bricks. Scattered in her driveway and near the doorway were a handful of pieces, the kind you'd expect a child to play with. At the time, they seemed irrelevant. But in 2013, investigators reopened the case with modern forensics. They swabbed those same bricks, and unbelievably, they carried fingerprints. The prints matched a 5-year-old boy who had lived in the area at the time. That boy's father was John Sansing, already serving time in Arizona for another murder. Suddenly, the pieces connected. Detectives realized Sansing had likely brought his young son along that night, using him as a way to get close to the victim's house. The child handled the toys, leaving behind prints that sat unnoticed for decades, until technology finally caught up. It's eerie when you think about it. A handful of Lego bricks forgotten at a crime scene ended up cracking a homicide case wide open. And that wasn't the only time Lego brushed up against the eerie, because in Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, there's a side quest that's way darker than you'd expect for a Lego game. In the streets of Mos Espa, you'll stumble across a silver protocol droid wandering aimlessly. At first it looks harmless until you follow it. The music shifts, the droid stares at you in silence, and then suddenly it runs inside a house, only to vanish completely. That droid's name? Nobot. And if you know the expanded Star Wars lore, you know why this is so unsettling. According to the legend, Nobot was once found wandering a murder scene. A woman and her unborn child killed in cold blood. Nobot himself was covered in blaster fire and blood. Even worse, his damaged module was rumored to replay the sounds of her last moments over and over again. Lego didn't make up that backstory. It's canon. But dropping it inside a family-friendly Lego game? That's bold. And to lean into the creepiness, the developers even named the mission Ghost Protocol. So yeah, Lego has a dark side you don't always see on the box. But I can see your darker side from this video, and what could be the possible reason you haven't subscribed to us yet? We publish videos every other day, so make sure you subscribe to us.